Today's video, we're going to talk about how to set up and manage your Facebook ad campaigns as a lawyer. And this is a little bit tricky because everything that we've gone through to date in this training, I've tried to build this so you can do it yourself or you can do it internally. I know a lot of these things can be difficult because there's things like there's technical things, there's design elements here, and now we're talking about hardcore media buying on a platform that is not inside of your skill set. So I'm gonna try and present this to you as simple as possible because if you have an internal marketing person, great, pass them this video, they can watch it. Or if you're working or wanting to hire an agency, great, this will arm you with the right information that you need to be able to interview and hire the right agency. Or you can just talk to me and we can do this for you. So specifically, we're talking about Facebook ads here. And before we get into this, I have this in here because we do a lot of Facebook ads for our clients, and a lot of you guys don't even have the foundation set up, which is fine. It's a little bit confusing on Facebook too. It's not quite as simple as like setting up LSAs. Just a few quick things here. One, if you're inside of our Fire Your Agency training program, we have a step-by-step SOP for you to go through so you can see step by step what you need to do. But generally speaking here, you need a business manager account. And then within that business manager account, it's kind of like a top level thing. You can create an ad account, multiple ad accounts inside of that, right? And then you can share that ad account with the agency or whoever's using it. You're also inside of your business manager account. You need to connect your Instagram and Facebook page. Of course, you need to make sure that you have those set up if you want to run ads on these platforms, which you do. Add a payment method. I always recommend using a credit card, build up some points. As an agency too, a lot of questions we get is like, do we pay you and then you pay? No, we don't. You pay us a retainer fee directly. You set up your card, your bank account onto these platforms. That way you have a little bit more control over the spend as well. If you don't want to go over a certain amount, then you can monitor that a lot more closely than if an agency's doing it. And then of course, your Facebook pixel. Your Facebook pixel is what allows you to do remarketing. So if somebody comes to your website, we can then serve them an ad from being on your website. That requires, it's called a pixel. It's like a tag, like a piece of code that you put on your website. If you're running on WordPress, there are plugins that you can do to set that up very easily. Again, if you guys need help, just reach out. We can handle all this stuff for you very easily. So that's kind of the foundational elements of just getting your account set up. Now let's quickly talk about how the Facebook ad platform works in terms of campaign structure. So at the top level, we have a campaign, and then within that we have ad sets, and then underneath that we have ads. So let's break this down a little bit because it's gonna help you to understand how to go in and set these things up. Because what I like to do, right, is this actually maps very well to the training that I gave earlier that's talking about all the different problems and pain points and fears and anxieties, right? So you can go back and watch that video where I talk about how to define 5 to 8 different problems, fears, anxieties. I like to use those fears and anxieties at the campaign level, right? So if we're going back and talking about the trucking accident, right, or the workplace accident, some of the campaign level setups that we can do is we can do one that's dealing with coworkers, another one that's like dealing with insurance, another one that's like dealing with pain on the job, right? So each of those we could set up a new campaign, and then an ad set is where it's where the budgeting and it's where the audience is set from a targeting point of view, right? So the campaign is kind of just like a shell organization, right? You just set that up and it just houses the ad sets and the ads underneath that. Now the ad set is where we control the targeting. So again, let's say this one is dealing with pain at work, right? The ad set level, if we want to do different levels of targeting, we would set like this one could be, we're going to remarket to website audiences, right? And then all the ads inside of that are going to follow that audience. This one could be like, we're going to target, construction workers, whatever, blah, blah, blah on Facebook. And then we'd want to put all the ads inside of that. So the ad set, essentially, you can think about the targeting level. This is where we're controlling the targeted and also the budget too. If you want to run, this one, because it's remarketing, $10 a day, this one at cold at $50 a day, right? And then underneath that is where we're going to create all the different ads that live inside of that targeting ad set. And that might change depending on the targeting, right? So if this one is targeting website traffic, people that have been to your website already aware of you, then these could be a lot more direct in terms of the messaging and the creative. If this one is going to people that are just construction workers, that's a cold audience. In other words, they have no idea who you are, then these ads could be a little bit more pain point driven, a little bit more broad, right? Hurt on the job, you might be entitled to compensation, etc., right? So That's very quick about how these work. Now let's just jump over into the Facebook ads platform and let's take a look at how this works. Let me zoom in for you a little bit here. Okay, so this is our agency's ad account, Webbers. This is where we're targeting all of you lawyers out there, right? And you can see here what I went through: campaign, ad sets, ads, right? So you can see here at the campaign level, we set it with a title that's going after, again, kind of like the topic of what we're going after. So this one here, I call them angles too. Angles is what we call internally when it comes to like a problem or a fear and anxiety. So this one is about agencies robbing you. This is another angle that we do about just kind of volume of creative for lawyers, right? And you can see here too that it's tracking everything here. So whatever conversion that you set up or whatever goal that you're setting up, it's gonna run here, right? So this is opting into our funnel. You can see the number of them over this time period. This is over a 16-day period. You can see the total accounts that it's reached. Impressions, kind of the same thing. I don't really look too much at those. The thing that I love to look at is cost per result. To me, cost per, whatever the metric is always going to be the best one, because if we're just looking at aggregate here, again, it's incomplete data. We want to know what the cost per conversion is, the cost per lead, the cost per call, the cost per form submission, etc. This is going to be the total amount spent here. And then because we're also running a lot of video, you can see the video kind of data that we're running here too, to just see how the engagement's running. So then if I was to click on one of these here, right, let's click on this one here, then you can see it automatically drills into the ad set here, and you can see this is where our media buyer is putting the targeting. So this one is targeting based on job title, this one is a lookalike audience based on people who have watched the video, and this one is targeting people that like or are interested in the American Bar Association, right? And then we can also see the breakdown of the campaign level performance within that. Now again, when I click in here, it will then drill into the ads running. So you can see we're running two different ads. It's the same video, but it's different copy. How do I know that? And then of course we can see the performance here too. So if I click on this, if I want to edit this ad to take a look here, so we can see what the ad looks like if we pop it open here. This is just showing me all the different formats across Instagram, Reels, all the different placements that it will show on Instagram. We can do desktop, we can do mobile, etc. Now, also what I want to do is just kind of go through the entire process with you when it comes to creating an ad and what this entails. So the first thing that you're going to see here is the option to select what your campaign objective is. Now, there's pretty much, there's really only one thing that I'll ever run. It's leads, right? So leads meaning conversions, form submissions, phone calls, whatever it is that we're going to track as the main conversion here is what we're going to run here. Now, very, very rarely we'll also run awareness campaigns, right? Where we'll just run, you can see here that we can see what the different sub conversions are, the sub goals are. Video views is something that I like to run sometimes just to build awareness in the market. But 9 times out of 10, it's going to be a leads ad. And you can see here too that there's different conversions that we can track here, whether that's a message, a general conversion, contact form submission, phone call, etc. So there's a lot of custom conversions that we can set up here. Now I'm also just going to select this one here, tailor leads campaign. And Facebook has come a long way, man. I'll tell you what, when I first started running this, Facebook has just gotten a lot easier when it comes to all this stuff, setting it up and optimizing and managing. So again, name it. We're just going to name this whatever your main goal is or whatever the pain point is. So if you say like trucking, accident, workplace issues, something like that, right? There's no category that you need to put here. This is really just like if you're running like political ads or stuff like that. Again, conversion location, website and calls, it's going to be taking place on a landing page, right? So we're going to want to make sure that we select that. The pixel here, so this is going to be the pixel that we put on your website. Again, we talked about that in the previous video. And now the conversion event, right? So this is where it can get a little bit tricky. You might need an expert to help set up a custom conversion for you. Again, we can help out with all that stuff, but I'm just going to go ahead and select lead here. Now, when it comes to budget, right? So this is where we set the budget for the entire ad sets within it. Generally speaking, when we're first getting started with an ad, we go through a testing period where we'll usually run it between $20 and $50 a day. That will allow us to get enough data to understand what the performance is and if we need to make adjustments to it. And we'll just kind of leave this as is. As we're scaling it though, we'll turn this up to $200, $500, sometimes even $1,000 a day at the campaign level. Now we can come in and start setting the audiences here as well. So we can do is two different types here. We can either use a custom audience, right? So for example, we have custom audiences in here already, but if you were to create your new, if you haven't done this yet, we can do website traffic, right, which is probably going to be the best for all of you guys. We can do customer list, right, so anybody who's in your CRM who was converted before, another great source of data for targeting, or videos, people who have watched a video before, right? Now I've already got these set up so we can take a look at it. And then the other one is lookalike audience. So what's cool about lookalike audiences is that we're able to take a data source that you already have, kind of like your website traffic here, right? So if we say, these are like LTV leads, for example, inside of our pipeline, right? So we can take this and then we can tell Facebook to say, okay, based on this data source that we're giving to you inside of North America or United States, we can even do like Florida, wherever, give me the 1% of people that most look like that person, right? So for us, it works really well because 100% of people on this are attorneys, so we're able to easily go out and have Facebook find other people that look like that. Now, if you don't have any sort of website traffic, this can be a little bit tricky in order to set up. So instead, we're going to set up a detailed targeting here, right? Now, what's also cool about this too is we can add exclusions. So if there's a list of people that, what we'll do sometimes, if we're getting a lot of bad leads, then we'll add audience exclusions in here based on bad calls. So we also have a one for bad calls that we add up in here. Let me see if I can find it. I don't know what my guy named it, but essentially we'll say, I want you to exclude the people that are in the bad calls list because that's not who we're looking for. So again, the more you do this, the more that these audiences build. Now, if we don't have any of this data, we have to go after the detailed targeting, right? Psychographic, demographic targeting. So come in here and, you know, whatever state that you're in, we're in Florida, we're just gonna do Florida. But more specifically too, if you wanna get hyper local, we can do Miami, right? And within Miami, we can even shrink that radius down to 10, 5, 1, depending on how low you want to get to. Now, you might be asking, how do I know? Well, one, you want to test it, and two, you need to know your local market. I'm here in Miami, so I know that Miami is a very densely populated area. And I know that the difference, I would say everybody in this circle here is going to be pretty much mainly Spanish speakers. You know, Miami is a pretty big city, but if we were to do 25 miles or 40 miles, 50 miles, right, and it's going to start putting in Fort Lauderdale and West Palm, that's a very, very different market than Miami. So, you know, that allows you to understand who your messaging should be going to by understanding what your local demo is. So it looks like 10 is the smallest we can do. So I would do 10, right? I would stay within a 10-mile radius. That's still plenty of people that are in that. This is another one that we'll also select sometimes because Facebook's tech is really, really good. So this is a box you can check to say, okay, Facebook, I trust you to understand who I'm looking for. And if you can, then yes, you have my permission to break this targeting and find those people. So I like to put this on, especially the more data that we give it, the better at it is because it's going to know who we're looking for. Now, when it comes to age, you know, if we're doing trucking accidents, it's probably going to be people over 30, right? Probably going to be a large majority of men. And then now we can get into some of the detailed demographic targeting. So, you know, there's a bunch of different things that you can look at here. We can browse. We can just type in truck, right? Truck vehicles, truck driver is one that we could put in here to test this out. And then again, too, we can keep on adding and stacking, or we can define further with more. And we can also add negatives on here too for people that we don't want. So that's a little bit just about setting up the audience here. And then next, we're gonna click next. We need to set up the actual ad creative. So let me just scroll up here so we can take a look at this together. So what I like to do too is I like to add the ad name, right? And this one here too. So the ad name would be, we'll call this like video 1 trucker story, right? So if we got like a video from a trucker or from a, you know, an attorney, right, that's telling a trucker story, I like to name the ad set level, right? This is level 3 now, what the creative is about. we're just going to come in here, never select this either, partnership ad, don't put that on. Select the page, select the Instagram account that we're running it for, manual upload, and then the format here. So there's a couple of different formats. Single image or video, this is going to probably be like 95% of what you're doing. Carousel would be those ads that you can add scrollable images here. Let's see if we can get an ad preview just to see what that looks like. Doesn't have it yet. But yeah, I mean, pretty straightforward, right? You're just going to upload the creative that you want. You're going to set the landing page here. Just going to paste it in. And then on the display link here, we can put in, I'd just like to put the brand name here. And then if we want to put in a phone number for a call now number, this here is going to be the headline of the ad. So once we decide to upload the video or the text, we can add in headline. And it's also cool too because Facebook has kind of like built-in testing options. You can come up with like 5, 10 different headlines. Use ChatGPT or Claude to do all this stuff for you. I already kind of taught you on how to do that. Headline, and then description. This is going to be the body of the ad. So again, we already went through and I showed you how to write all these ads. I showed you how to come up with all this. Literally just use AI to pretty much do all this different stuff for you. Call to action, contact us, next. So now is when you can go in and add, if there's images already inside of the account that you can add in, videos, etc. But a lot of times you're just going to be uploading these things directly. It's a new way. I haven't seen this yet. It looks like Facebook is now rolling out AI to test different variations of it. Let's see what this looks like. That's kind of cool, but it's kind of shit too, to be honest with you. So you can test all these different image variations, add them in. Again, I talked about this already, like the more creative that we give it, the better that we're going to be, the more effective that we're going to be, because Facebook is going to take these, spin them through, and it's going to find out what the audience likes the most, and it's going to deliver the ads based on that. So the cropping is also interesting here too. If you're adding videos, something that's just kind of an important thing is to make sure that the content is cropped based on the platform, right? So like that's why I love vertical video and vertical images, because it takes up a lot more real estate, and 90% of what people are looking at on these platforms is vertical because they're on their phones. So I like to skew more towards much more towards vertical placements. Now, okay, now we've gone through all this, we can publish it. But what I also like to do too is I'll quick duplicate this, right? And then now is when we switch the creative. So now this could be video 2, trucker crying video, I don't know, right? Just making that up. And then we would go through and we would edit the creative here, and then we would just keep copying. So this is what I was talking about before when it was coming up with multiple different creative variations to target, all this different stuff. So when we come back here, and again, we look at our structure here, what we want is to come up with 2 to 3 different campaigns. Within that ad set, different targeting, I would say 3 different, 4 different, 5 different levels of targeting, and then 3 to 5 ads for each ad set, right? So now we're talking about getting out multiple different types of creative. A lot of you, when you see me, you're like, man, I've been seeing your videos everywhere. I can't get away from you. That's because we feed it so much creative at this level that Facebook is figuring out the different points in time to feed you different pieces of creative to convince you to join inside of our ecosystem. So that's a quick crash course on how to set up Facebook ads. Again, I know you're not a media buyer. I know a lot of you probably won't and shouldn't set up your own ads and manage your own ads. It's really best left with a professional who's done this and scaled ad accounts. It's what we do. We have media buyers on standby. If you want to go through this entire process on your own and then just handle us through the media, we can do that. If you want us to take over everything here for you, we can do that. Obviously, if you just want to be trained and have us coach you along the way, we can do that too. But this is one thing where it takes, a certain level of skill and practice. But what I just trained you on should give you a good foundation for how to manage the platform. It's not necessarily rocket science. It's just very time consuming, because that's just the setup portion of it. But the management, the testing, the daily checks of it, the cutting off ads, the adding new ads, it's a full-time job. And again, we're here to help. So if you need help, check us out. Link below. Book a call with me directly. We can talk about how we can manage your ads account. If not, like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Hey, Ryan here. Hope you liked that video. If you want more, check out these 2 videos right here on the screen.